It's Willie D, y'all. If it's your first time checking out the show, let me know what city, what state you're coming in from. If you're outside of the U.S., let me know what country you're representing. Family, I need you to
what
smash
city,
up
what
the like.
state you're coming in from.
Hold
If
on.
you're outside of the U.S., let me know what country you're representing.
Family, I
Let me
need you
know
to
what
smash
city,
up
what
the like.
state you're coming in from.
Hold
If you're
on.
outside of the U.S., let me know what country you're representing.
My bad, fam. Good Lord, these technical issues are hounding me today. As I was saying, fam, if you're outside of the U.S., let me know what city, what state you're coming in from. Family, check the little bell next to you, subscribe. That thing right now, so notifications each time I drop a new video like this. That way you'll be in the loop. Going in, we're getting some air, like wind or something on your end, Sharon. It's kind of loud. I'm sure it's bothering the listeners here. If you can like try to like do something about it. Is there any way you can do something about that that noise? Family. On the line. Okay.
Yes.
I'm on the phone right now with well, we're streaming right now with Sharon Winbush. She is a former employee who worked as a nutritionist for R. Kelly for some, I believe, 8 years. Am I correct in saying that, Sharon? 8 years? I can't hear you. Can't hear you. Hello?
Oh, can you hear me now?
I hear you now. So you worked for R. Kelly 8 years?
Can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes. You worked for R. Kelly 8 years?
Well, it was between maybe 5 years off and on.
Okay. And you worked as a nutritionist, but you're also a strategist now. Like that's what you do now. That's your primary thing. And I think it's worth noting that Sharon is not here in the capacity of representing R. Kelly. She's here as what she says a concerned citizen to make sure that that people get fair treatment under the law. That's my interest in this case. I want to be clear for any of you who want to come on here talking slick. I want to make sure that you understand that for me, it's bigger than R. Kelly. It's about every single person, including the people who hate R. Kelly's guts, getting fair treatment under the law. I personally believe that R. Kelly was railroaded. I'm not saying that I don't think he did anything wrong. I'm just saying I believe that R. Kelly was railroaded. Sharon is here, who's someone who has been following this case for a significant amount of time, and she knows R. Kelly on a personal level and a business level. Sharon, why are you so passionate about this case?
When I first started looking at this, I saw everybody breaking the law, and I saw that not being addressed. We started with the Mute R. Kelly campaign being illegal. It is against the law to seize anyone's assets. So they violated the Fourth Amendment, the Fifth Amendment, and the Sixth Amendment rights of R. Kelly when they stopped his concerts. That hemorrhaged him financially. Then surviving R. Kelly was fraudulent because most of the people in there either told blatant lies or lies of omission. And when I looked at this, I was a observer like everybody else, but I kept bumping into all of the laws that everyone else was breaking that people seemed to be ignoring, and that concerned me.
Mm-hmm. So, what's just to be clear, what is your position on R. Kelly's on his innocence or guilt? What's your position?
I believe the Mute R. Kelly campaign was illegal. Citing R. Kelly was fraud. Kim Fox broke the law. The media broke the law when they to believe all women and believe any story that came out. Therefore, the investigations were not legal. You started investigations based on illegal behavior that preceded it. So you can't open an investigation if everything that preceded it was illegal. Then you had the case where a federal informant got a hold of R. Kelly's jail records from a plotter and used it to influence federal witnesses in his trials. So every part of the process for R. Kelly was illegal where I sit. So you can't even find where he's guilty because so many violations and laws were broken by so many people.
To what extent was the law broken, in your opinion, when this guy who is an alleged informant, said what he had to say on an audio recording?
We do have an audio recording of an informant.
Yeah, there's a family. If you want to check it out, I couldn't play it on YouTube because of why and who, but there is a audio recording of an alleged informant who talks about flipping a witness, flipping a federal witness. And that's on my Instagram. That's williedlive. On my Instagram, williedlive. You can listen to it. It's about a 2.5 minutes or so. But the guy is on audio, a federal informant talking about flipping a federal witness. And the person that he flipped, who testified in these trials against R. Kelly, that person gets to go home. The person who flipped the witnesses gets to remain out on the streets. Nobody goes to jail. Fam, do y'all understand what I'm saying here? Like if we're gonna really get into this, we're gonna go down that path where it doesn't matter if you don't like a person or you feel like somebody is guilty. It don't matter how they convict the person. It doesn't matter how that person ends up in jail. We just want them in. We just want them in jail. Just know that if that's the mentality, then you got to reserve that same mentality for yourself and the people that you do care about, the people that you love. Because if they'll do it to R. Kelly, who has made this country over $1 billion, that damn show do it to you. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong here, Sharon. What happened? I can't hear you. Sharon. Okay, fam, something's going on again with this audio. Good God. Something's going on with the audio. Sharon, if you can hear me, can you just, is it possible to call me? Let me try to get Sharon back on the line, fam. Let's see if this will work. There's more than one way to skin a cat. Let's see if this will work. We're going to see if this works. Hello?
Hello?
Okay. Yeah, let's work it like this, Sharon. Okay. I got Sharon Wynn-Bush on the phone, fam. And again, if you're just not joining live, Sharon is a former employee of R. Kelly and who is currently serving as a strategist. That's what she does. She's not necessarily a strategist for R. Kelly, but she is she is a strategist, you know, for I guess exact.
Clients.
Excuse me.
My other clients.
For her other clients.
And I'm just doing this because I'm concerned about the laws in this case.
Right. She's doing this because she's concerned about the laws in this case. Sharon, what do you say to people who say that, you know, you're trying to protect a pedophile? That's one of the things. As soon as anybody that remotely says that they don't support what happened to R. Kelly, they immediately say you're trying to protect a pedophile. What do you say to that?
Well, give me your definition of that. What's your proof of that? You have to first say.
Can you speak up? Because it's hard to hear you.
Well, what is their proof that that's what he is? What is the definition of that? The definition is someone prepubescent. Nobody was prepubescent in this case. Mm-hmm. So that's a false narrative.
Okay. Yeah. What other receipts that can you provide, you know, in this case, to support you know your position?
What I did was, if you go to my YouTube channel, Goddess Sharon, you'll see tons and tons of videos on the subject. But let's start with the most recent thing, which is R. Kelly doing interviews with Corey Holcomb, Rick Party, and Kwame Brown and some others. He was talking about his jail records being stolen, accessed by a disciplinary hearing officer who worked for the BOP. She passed that information to a blogger, and then that blogger passed that to other people. We have an audio of the blogger saying that she had the commissary of the witness in the Illinois trial. When you have commissary, that gives you the address, the phone number, the email, the contact information. These people were still supporting Robert. That's why they were putting money on his books. That's what commissary is. You're putting money on the books. So if you have a commissary for 3 witnesses in his trials, that says they were supporting him when he went in. Mm-hmm. The reason they flipped, and you hear the audio of the bloggers saying, they all got in touch with each other. How did they do that? The blogger and the informant worked together and put these witnesses in touch with each other. So once they found out whatever Robert was telling one, he was telling the other, they became scorned girlfriends. And they decided to pay him back. That's illegal. It's illegal to tamper with witnesses. It's illegal to influence witnesses. It's illegal to use his jail records against him to get a conviction. And the informant needed a 5K1 letter because he did a 1.6 million synchrony bank fraud scheme with his partner, who he flipped on. And the wife of the partner did an interview talking about the diabolical way that the informant destroyed her family. But you see very clearly them use these records to flip witnesses. The witness in the New York case was the star witness, and she was responsible for 90% of his charges. So that's a big deal.
What's her name? Azrael? How you say her name? Azrael?
Azrael Clary.
Azrael Clary.
She was Jane Doe number 5. She was the star witness in the New York trial. And she went to Vegas with her father to celebrate her birthday. While there, the informant who had befriended her father got his daughter to get close to Azrael. They invited her to stay at his house. While at his house, they showed her all types of information that she had not seen. They spent, and you'll hear it on the audio, He's saying his wife, his daughter, and himself spent days and days and days, hours and hours and hours, flipping, coercing, manipulating, brainwashing Guantanamo Bay style a federal witness. Then they bought her a plane ticket, sent her to Chicago, where she got into the fight with Joy. And that's all over the internet. That was January 8th, 2020. You can Google that fight. So they spend a week brainwashing and manipulating her. They buy her a plane ticket, send her to Chicago, where she gets into a fight, and we actually hear an audio of her asking for the feds. Because the informant called her on the phone and tried to put the feds on the phone with her, and then he told her, get in touch with the feds, because he needed a 5K1 letter to get out of his situation with Synchrony Bank. So once that happened, she became the star witness in New York. With her came information about a warehouse where they seized 100 devices of his, and they also got other people involved as a result of her. So that is a direct result of being influenced by a federal informant, because they had access to his jail records as a result of a BOP officer giving that to a blogger.
Mm-hmm. What specifically did the informant say? For those who haven't heard the audio recording, y'all can go and check it out on my Instagram, Willie D Live. Go check out Willie D Live, latest post on Instagram, Willie D Live, and you can hear what the informant had to say about actually flipping a federal witness. And for clarity, what are we talking about here when we say flipping a federal witness, Sharon?
This is someone who was in full support of Robert. How do we know that? She had a lawyer retained who was being paid by Robert. She was still living with him. She was still his girlfriend. She was on his visitors list at MCC, which is where he was being housed. So if you're still visiting the person, putting money on their books, she actually did videos where you see her saying, that's my man, I love him, I can't wait till he gets out. She did a documentary where they filmed in Florida, November of 2019, where she is sitting next to her father, professing her love for R. Kelly, saying she supports him, saying she's still standing by her man, essentially. Then they went to film in Atlanta. She told her father, because her father was trying to keep her away from Robert. She said, I'm not a victim. Then he took her to Las Vegas around mid-December 2019 to celebrate her birthday. While there, the informant met up with them, had his daughter meet her, invite her to stay at their house, however that worked. And that's where the coercing began. They got her under their roof. All of them bombarded her with a lot of negative information about him, and they put her on the phone with other witnesses in his cases.
Mm-hmm. Have you spoken with R. Kelly lately?
I have, yeah.
What's his mood like? Like, what's his temperature right now? In terms of his condition, and where's his mind right now?
Well, he's anxious on his appeal that is in process right now. He wants the Department of Justice to look into the taking of his jail records to influence witnesses, and he basically wants fair treatment. So all of those things are weighing heavy on him because he feels all of this was unjust.
Mm-hmm. Is there any type of push to hold the parents accountable for any of this stuff? Like, there are some people who are saying, well, if R. Kelly is guilty, of anything, then the parents, what about these parents? They introduced their daughters to R. Kelly, and some of them took money. Uh, is there any push to try to, like, hold them accountable for whatever actions they may have taken, whether they're possibly even illegal actions?
I think that was part of getting the females to testify by giving immunity and not calling the parents. That was part of the problem with the New York trial. The defense wanted the parents to be called, but the judge ruled against it. So in the court of law, you don't have to necessarily be guilty. Everything is about how your lawyers are arguing your case in front of the judge.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really a maneuvering process. Who can out strategize who in the courtroom? Who can use the law most effectively to get what they want? And in his case, his lawyers on the New York case just got outmatched by, well, actually both cases, they just got outmatched by the prosecution. So that's why he's appealing that. But the parents were never charged and they were never called to testify in the court.
When you're dealing with a star like R. Kelly, the caliber of R. Kelly, somebody that's on that type of level, you can typically afford the best lawyers that money can buy. And even if you ain't got the money, you got lawyers that'll step up and offer much of their services pro bono. Did R. Kelly, do you, in your opinion, do you think that he went and got the best lawyers, or maybe he got the best lawyers, but they were just overmatched by the vast resources of the government?
No, he did not have the caliber of lawyers that he should have had. And that was a result for Mute R. Kelly muting his money out on the outset. That's why that's so critical. When you cut off your concerts, you cut off the streaming of his music, you cut off his money flow, you basically hemorrhaged him financially. And the top lawyers that would have been, I think, equally matched to the prosecutors, they wanted $5 million. They wanted a nice amount of money, which he did not have. You got to remember, at that time he was being sued. The government was freezing his assets. So many things were happening to make sure he did not mount a good defense for himself. So you get the quality of lawyers that you can afford. And, do I think he should have been found guilty in New York? No. I don't even think he should have been charged, given the nature of what they had. And when you listen to those recordings that you're going to put on your Instagram, you hear the blogger saying they didn't have anything. They did not have anything. That's why it was critical that they flip witnesses. So that's why that part is so important. His jail records being accessed by an unauthorized BOP officer, passing that to a blogger who passed it to an informant. So I've been generating a letter writing campaign for people to make sure they send the information to get this investigation relaunched and have the Department of Justice look into this further. So anybody that wants to write the Department of Justice, please do so. You want to write Merrick Garland. He's the U.S. Attorney General at the Department of Justice, 950 Pennsylvania Avenue Northwest, Washington, D.C. 20530. And when you write, you want to simply say, we hear an audio of an informant confessing to flipping witnesses in R. Kelly's trial. When is that investigation going to be relaunched and made transparent so that we as American citizens can assure that every American has equal protection under the law? R. Kelly has generated $1 billion for the music industry. He's paid enormous amounts of money in taxes. That means he has sold into the U.S. economy probably $1 billion over his 30-year career. from jobs to vendors to the people that sell the tickets, the people that go to the concerts. When you go to a concert, you're renting a limousine, you're getting a new outfit, hair and nails. If we look at the overall arc of what monies are generated for the U.S. economy as a result of a concert of his magnitude over 30 years, that's $1 billion without breaking a sweat. And he sold that into taxes. If he cannot get equal protection under the law, who can? If his jail records can be accessed by an unauthorized disciplinary hearing officer who then passes that to a blogger, the blogger's father just so happened to work for the BOP on the East Coast for 30 years. Did the father know this person? Did the father put this person in contact with his daughter? This person says on air, the blogger, that she shared it with other individuals. She said on air that she had contact with the informant. The informant is heard on audio saying he had her phone number. That's link of causation. So there's too much here, just like with the Keefe D case. If you have a confession that you've made on social media, the government has the right and really the responsibility to investigate that, to look into that, and to pursue that. They can hear the audio and authenticate it to make sure it's not AI. They can also trace it back to its source. They have the technology within the Department of Justice. It was done on a live at the beginning of 2020. I have sent the Department of Justice the information so they know exactly who, what, where, when, how. We just need letters sent by concerned U.S. citizens who believe that the Constitution must apply to everybody. Because if R. Kelly can't get a fair break, nobody can. Your brother, your cousin, your uncle, your nephew, or yourself. And if they can take your money illegally in a mute somebody campaign, it hemorrhages you. So we look at all the laws broken. Let's talk about where you can verify what I'm saying. Go to the Chicago Tribune, the Chicago Sun-Times, the Daily Mail. You can Google that for September 7th, 2021. R. Kelly's stolen jail records. All the information will come up. You have the audio that'll be on Willie D's channel. So you will have verification that this is a real thing. It has happened. Robert himself has done interviews where he's talked about it. So you see that this is something that's real. Now, go on.
No, go ahead, finish.
So, you have a right as a U.S. citizen to have your jail records protected if you're in custody because you're expecting to have a fair process. So anyone that is attacked for speaking on this or even harassed or bullied also write the U.S. Department of Justice because the blogger and the informant both weaponize social media. They use their followers by giving a dog whistle to have anybody attacked that tries to expose this information. There is a partner of the informant who goes around pretending he's a cousin of R. Kelly. And what they're doing is trying to do interviews so that they can expand their criminal enterprise. You can Google Bruce Kelly, who is Robert's real brother, and listen to him talk about the fake relatives that come out of the woodworks. And the fake cousin is a partner of the informant. So be aware of all of that, but look into and do your homework on this case so that you know more.
What are the chances, in your opinion, that R. Kelly's lawyers were paid off?
I don't think that.
Okay.
I don't think that.
I'm just asking because I do know that happens. I've even been in a situation where I've had a lawyer that was that took some money because they saw a bigger lick. A lot of times, a lot of times, lawyers, if you're going up against another giant, and that giant is bigger than you. The lawyers is always looking for the bag. Not all lawyers, of course, but a lot of times these unscrupulous lawyers, they have no integrity whatsoever. So you may come to them as a client. They find out you're going after somebody who's bigger, who got a bigger bag, and who's probably have a bag that's been around longer. So they're looking at you. They're looking at both of them like which one of these guys am I most likely to have a long-term financial blessing from? And they'll sell you out. They'll get with the big guys and sell you out and get the bread, get your little bread, and then get whatever bread that they can get from the big guys, and then continue a relationship with these guys that you sick them on. Yeah, that happens. So, but you said that you don't believe that there's no chance that they did that. You just feel like that they were just underqualified to represent him.
To handle a case of this magnitude.
Yeah.
And you never say never. I don't know the lawyers like that. Anything is possible, but I think it was just a matter of this case was very big and you needed lawyers that specialized in the charges that he was being charged with. So all you have to do is ask yourself what witnesses and what evidence were presented by the defense team that would counter what he was found guilty of. And there's your answer. So it's not difficult math, but what we do have to focus on is this was illegal to begin with, in my opinion. When you cut off somebody's money, when you put out a fraudulent TV series where everybody's lying, let me just give you a little piece from Surviving R. Kelly. Sparkle was one of the main people in that. She was married to a guy in Public Announcement, Earl. She left her husband for R. Kelly. When she found out Robert was married, she had been involved with him for years. She thought she was going to be the first lady of Rockland Records. Robert had a secret marriage. No one knew about it. When she found out, she also found out her sister was going to the studio, meeting with him, having, sessions, shall we say. And that made her go ballistic. She wanted out of her contract. She wanted to get back at her sister. She wanted revenge. At some point, her niece became involved with him, probably at 18, it seems like. But Sparkle wanted her family to pay. So she, along with Barry Hankerson, who had been fired, Barry had worked on the Best of Both Worlds album and tour, and he felt Robert owed him $1 million. But he was fired the January before that project released. This is what Robert told me himself, that Barry Hankerson and Sparkle teamed up to bring him down. They vowed to do that. When did we first hear about the tape? From Sparkle. How did she say she got news of it? She said a lawyer called her and told her her niece is on a tape. Well, common sense says a sex tape does not have, people don't have name tags on, and nobody has ID. How do you know who's in it? And how do you know they're related to Stephanie Edwards? Jim DeRogatis was the reporter from the Sun-Times that said he received an anonymous tape in the mail. Well, who's in it? How did you know who was in it? He immediately looked at the tape, assumed it was a minor, sent that to the police. 2 days later, he's interviewing Stephanie Edwards, Sparkle. How did you come to this is Sparkle's niece if you don't know R. Kelly and you don't know anyone around him? In that interview, and you can Google that, Jim DeRogatis interviews Sparkle. It was sometime around when the tape came out. But if you do the timeline, he sent the tape to the police. 2 days later, he's interviewing Sparkle. He says to Sparkle that he got the tape from BH, Barry Hankerson. So he knew exactly where he got it from. Sparkle says somewhere in that interview, yeah, Barry Hankerson wanted revenge. So this was a plot by both of them to get back at Robert. Barry.
Oh shit. My bad, family. Accidentally got disconnected here. I'm trying to connect Sharon again. Okay.
Hello? Okay.
Okay. You said this was the plot to.
Okay, so Barry was angry because he got fired and he believed Robert owed him $1 million for his work on the Jay-Z collaboration, The Best of Both Worlds. And Sparkle was angry because she found out he was married with a child and he was also involved with her sister. They both teamed up to bring him down. Robert is a creature of habit. He goes to the gym on a specific day at a specific time, and he uses the same locker. A person went to the gym, broke into his locker, stole his bag. In the bag was money, jewelry, and tapes. They immediately, and this is coming from Demetrius Smith, who was not only in Surviving R. Kelly, he's a career criminal also. He left that out of his information. He was working with Barry Hankerson too. So they got the tapes, and I believe they're the ones that put that stuff out. Speaking of Demetrius Smith, there was a ring inside of Robert's camp of people who would bring females in with fake ID to get a check. So the age of consent in Illinois is 17. If you find someone 16 or whatever the age is, and you get a fake ID, and they bring them to a party and introduce them, Rob gets involved with the person. They say this person is going to go public if you don't pay. They have him cut a check for $250,000. All of them split the money. That was going on repeatedly by people in his camp.
Whoa, let's stop right there. So
Yeah.
there's a clique of people.
Yeah.
There's a clique of people in Rob's camp who goes and gets young girls who are underage and get them to change, give them fake IDs that shows that they're of legal age and introduce them to R. Kelly, let R. Kelly get involved with them, and then turn around and blackmail R. Kelly if he does not threaten to blackmail R. Kelly, if he does not break them off some paper to stay silent about the relationship.
It didn't come off as blackmail. They pretended like they didn't know the girl. They pretend like, oh man, Rob, she got you. Oh man, you better do this to protect yourself. And so what Rob didn't know is they were in on it. So it's looking like the female is the culprit when in fact it's his own workers, people that work for him, who are teaming up. And if we do this once or twice a year, that's 250,000, 500,000 that they all split.
Wow.
The female usually got the smallest amount.
Wow.
Yeah. Horrible. But stop and think about this. If R. Kelly had and I've been saying this, I've been giving interviews since this story broke in 2019. I was a first responder on the front lines because it concerned me. Because I worked in Robert's home, because I knew him and Drea, I pretty much stayed in the middle because I didn't know where the truth was. But I kept seeing all of this fraudulent, illegal behavior by everyone that was accusing Robert of crime. But if he had a penchant for underage females or minors, as they say, why would he bother asking for ID? Why would he only have 6 people in both of his trials that claimed they were underage, and half of them admitted under oath they showed fake ID. So if this is this predator that the public is saying, he was the king of R&B, sex symbol of R&B for 30 years. Kim Fox did a cattle call for victims. She put an 800 number up, and you only had 6 people. One was from in the cemetery. So, and half of them said they lied about their age and they had fake ID.
What do you mean? What do you mean one was in the cemetery?
Because they brought Aaliyah into it.
Oh, okay.
They made her. But again, that was under Demetrius Smith, who this guy never had legal employment in his life. The only time he had gainful employment was working for R. Kelly. What he left out of Surviving R. Kelly was that he robbed people's homes. He was a drug dealer. He sold drugs, and he robbed department stores and would steal thousands and thousands of like iPods and things like that and sell them. So this is somebody who was a career criminal, and he was one of the first people to bring the first underage girl, allegedly, around R. Kelly and get a check. And he admits that all over interviews that he's given.
Here's what I'm trying to understand, Sharon, is how do you have someone sitting in prison on a RICO Act?
Exactly.
And nobody else is in jail. Like only one person. How you gotta have a RICO Act with one person? Only one person gets punished. How can you have a RICO? How does that even make, like, nobody cares about that? Like nobody cares that, like that doesn't sound possible. Like, how do you have a RICO Act and only one person gets criminally punished?
Exactly. No one else caught charges. The way they did it in the appeal, if you read the government's brief, they're claiming that the secretary, the driver, the people that did the day-to-day music business for R. Kelly are his RICO enterprise. Now, the reason that's dangerous is everybody in the music business can be charged. Everybody gets approached by females that want to have sex with the star. We know that goes on from the smallest of bands to the biggest of artists. So that means the guy that, whoever works for you, your tour manager, your assistant, the person that does your wardrobe, everybody that has contact with this person can be considered a part of your criminal enterprise.
Yeah, including bellhops,
Exactly.
waitresses. You're talking about production managers, promoters, agents,
your engineer in the studio, right?
The engineer in the studio, the janitor, the office manager, so yeah. But I'm just saying, fam, I know some of y'all over here, y'all steaming because y'all hate R. Kelly and y'all hate anybody that remotely appears to have any type of empathy for him or whatever, or even just any kind of support for him. I got it. I understand where you're coming from. But I'm not even looking at R. Kelly as the person R. Kelly. I'm looking at the actual act that the prosecution did, whereas R. Kelly is just a symbol. He to me, he's a symbol,
right? Exactly.
Of what these people can do to anybody, especially a black man. I'm a black man, so I gotta speak on it, man. I'm gonna be more passionate about this than perhaps anybody other than another black man. Because
and you're an artist.
Yeah, and I'm an artist. So I know how it go. I know the game. I know how these people, already hold us to a different standard anyway. And I also do know how women or young girls. Y'all know, fam. I bet you it ain't. I bet you 99% of the women listening to this show right now has used a fake ID at some point. I'll bet you $1 to a donut. I'm not saying that you used it to date an older guy, but I'm saying I bet you used it at least to get into a club. So it ain't like it's, like not believable that somebody would, go out and use a fake ID to gain access to something that they want.
That's right. Well, here's the thing, and people say they saw the tape. That was a minor on the tape. You had Vlad TV, or DJ Vlad, whatever his name is. He went on a podcast and said, I saw the tape. That was a minor on the tape. Do you realize when you say you saw that tape, you are confessing to a federal crime? 2 counts of child sex crimes, because it is illegal to be in possession of child pornography, and it is illegal to watch child pornography. So every single person that says they saw the tape, it was a minor on the tape, should be prosecuted just like Keefe D was.
Well, come on, get me then, because I saw the tape. I saw it. I saw it. Come on, arrest me right now. I saw the tape. But here's the thing. Just like Vlad and many other people, I don't believe that we didn't know. I know I didn't know, and I know that most people, we just heard that R. Kelly had a sex tape and he was peeing on a chick. That's what we saw the sex tape for, because I ain't gonna lie, I was curious to see, like, he really doing this? R. Kelly peeing on a chick? And we found out later that the girl was supposed to be underage. So if you watch a porn.
But here's the thing. Let's look at this legally. How do you know her age? You have young females like you don't. You have young females.
Let me just finish my thought, Sharon.
Okay.
But what you do know is that, okay, the chick looks young. She's a young chick. All right. She looks young. But we don't know that she don't look like she could pass for 12 or 13 or something like that. The thing is that a lot of people, millions and millions and millions of people watch that tape. And men and women, and even some of the people who want R. Kelly arrested, who want R. Kelly to die in jail, watch that tape.
Right.
Should they be arrested? Because like you say, it was child porn, but again, I'm giving them the benefit of doubt. Like I want people to give me that I did not know that's what that was, what I was watching. Because I don't.
And what I'm saying to you is you cannot confirm it. Females like Stephanie Mills are very petite. And at 19, Stephanie Mills could have been 14 or 15. She could have looked that way. Same with Jada Pinkett. You have females that are very petite in nature. Lil' Kim, a lot of artists out here at 19 and 20 could have passed for 14. So looking at something, you cannot verify age, and you cannot verify who it was, what it was, or how it was. That's the point, and that's the take-home message. The person that got on the stand and said it was her was supporting Robert, and this is a full circle, until she was introduced to his other people. And she was one of the ones that was flipped. Also, she had a PPP fraud scheme, and the government gave her immunity if she would testify. So she was offered not only immunity for her crime, she was given the promise of a $14 million restitution. She was given a Section 8 housing, and she also had endorsement deals. And she was already pissed at him for lying to her because they had shown her and introduced her to other females as a result of influencing and tampering with a witness. All of that went into that. So you can't just blanketly say this person is guilty without factoring in everything.
Mm-hmm.
Is that fair? Is it fair? If it were you, was that considered fair treatment? And if that person was You know, like people say, oh, he was involved with Aaliyah. Aaliyah never said she had a problem with him. How am I going to have a problem with somebody if Aaliyah didn't have a problem with him? Her mother didn't have a problem. Her father didn't have a problem. And no one has confirmed what has happened between them. She's not here, and he's never spoke on it. So they say there was a marriage, but from what my understanding, that was a publicity stunt. That was something done to promote an album. No one can confirm that.
What you're going to have, what you have is people that say that, well, Aaliyah was 15 years old at the time, so she doesn't have the mental capacity to agree to a sexual relationship with a grown man.
And what I'm saying is we don't have proof that they had one. There's no proof that they had one. It's speculation. It's speculation. Who was in the room when it was happening? Where's the evidence? She's not here, and he never spoke on it. So it's speculation. Period. You can't take somebody's career away and put them in jail for 30 years based on, are you willing to bet everything you have on that? I just saw an interview with Johnny Gill on Vlad, and he said because of rumors of him being gay, he had to take a lie detector. He didn't have to. He said he chose to take a lie detector test for someone he was involved with. And she was shocked when he was telling the truth. And he talked about how insidious a lie can be. But a lot of people spread that lie about that man. And it was going around and catching fire, and everyone was believing it. And it was messing up his relationships. And that's why he took a lie detector test. You cannot speculate on something that you do not have eyewitness verification of. I was never around. I didn't see those things. This person never spoke against him. Her parents never spoke. I don't have jurisdiction over her sexuality. She does. 15-year-olds are having sex. 16-year-olds are having sex. You have TV shows on MTV, 16 and pregnant, 16 and having a baby. It's about 9 different shows on MTV that are talking about 16-year-olds engaging in sex. Why aren't people boycotting that? You have a wing of every Planned Parenthood that offers services to teens, from abortion to sexually transmitted diseases to birth control.
Well, I think I know the answer why they're not boycotting that. I mean, they're not boycotting it primarily because they're not showing these 16-year-olds and 15-year-olds that are pregnant having sex with or in relationships with men who are in their 20s and 30s or 40s or 50s or 60s or 70s.
So the age bothers you, not the act itself. Just be clear.
Yeah,
that's
right.
So them having sex doesn't bother you. It's the age gap that bothers people.
I think that having sex may bother people to an extent, but it don't bother them half as much as the age gap. But why is that though? What is it about the age gap that bothers people so much?
But it has gone on since the beginning of time. Biblical. Mary was pregnant and she was with Joseph. Joseph was a gray-haired man. Now it was immaculate conception, but she was still running around with a 70-year-old man.
But you know, like in the United States, if you're a certain age, bottom line is that you can't consent. You're not old enough to consent, period.
That varies from state to state, and it varies from time to time. It depends. That's not a moral issue. It's based on who votes and what laws we put in place. Google age of consent by state. You'll have some states where it's 16, some states where it's 17, some states where it's 18. And it depends on what country you're in. If you're in India, what is the age of consent? If you're in China, what are we talking about here? At the end of the day, every female and male is going to regulate their own sexuality. Who could tell you when you could have sex? Your parents can give you information, but at the end of the day, it's going to be your decision. How old was your mother when, and I'm not saying you specifically, I'm saying the audience. How old was your grandmother when she had sex for the first time? And how old was her partner? If we look back throughout history, young females chose older men because they wanted the security, they wanted the stability, financial remuneration. They wanted to be taken care of, and someone their age wasn't able to provide that. That has gone on since the beginning of time in all walks of life, and it goes on today. Why do you think these young girls are going to the concert with fake IDs? They want to have or lose their virginity to a rock star. That's been going on since the beginning of time. You look at these rock groups from Kiss to Pink Floyd to all of them. Look at the song 16 and, one of those guys, Bobby Valley or somebody had a song. She was just 16. But this has gone on since the beginning of time. Young girls are active. They are. And if you don't want your daughter to have sex or you don't want to have sex, then you raise them the way you want. But they're still going to do what they want to do at the end of the day.
Yeah, and all of that you're saying is absolutely true. Everything you said is absolutely true. However,
we still get back
we
to
still
the emotional.
going right back to the law. In the United States of America, they got that little thing called what the law say. And, people are they're saying, hey, man, legally, he was out of pocket if indeed he was, if something like that really did happen. You got people who believe that R. Kelly had sex with an underage girl, or at least girls, and therefore he should be in jail.
But why does it make you so angry? Each person why are you so emotionally attached to it?
I think I got it. A lot of women see themselves in those young girls. They see themselves having sex at a young age, or they see themselves having been taken advantage of an older man, and they're projecting their trauma, on R. Kelly. They see themselves, they see those men in their lives who betrayed them, who broke promises. That's what I think it is.
I think that's a part of it. But what about the young lady that wants that older man, that pursued? Look at Ronald Isley and his wife.
Mm-hmm.
That age gap. People want what they want. If a young female has the ability to attract a stable, secure individual, and this sets them up and sets their family up for the rest of their lives. Look at Priscilla Presley. She moved in with Elvis when she was 15, 14, somewhere around there. Stayed in his house, slept in his bed. He gave her pills to go to sleep, pills to wake up. Nobody talks about that. So, and if you listen to her, she did an interview when she was probably 60 years old. That was the best decision of her life. She loved him. She wanted to be with him. That's who she chose to lose her virginity to. That's who she chose to be in a relationship with.
Mm-hmm.
Why can't, that's her business. Who am I to tell her you shouldn't have done that? Who am I to regulate somebody else's sexuality?
You can't regulate somebody else's sexuality. What do you think that? What do you think? Where are we right now? Like, what do you think with this new revelation, with this this audio? Again, fam, y'all can check out the audio of the alleged informant actually talking about revealing that he actually flipped a federal informant in the R. Kelly case, meaning that the informant said, "This is what it is. This is the truth," and he said he got her to flip her story, talking about Azriel Clary. He got her to flip her story. Is that enough? Should that be enough to exonerate R. Kelly?
If she's responsible for 90% of the charges, yes. And again, the audio can be authenticated by the Department of Justice. They have the technology to ensure that audio is not AI, it is not artificial, it is not fake, and they have the technology to go back into that person's YouTube history to that time period and retrieve the original from that. And that person was on the phone. Oh, no, he had a person on the live with him who was Daryl Shabazz, who is the producer of the documentary Precedents. So you have a witness, you have a confession, you can authenticate it with the technology that the Department of Justice has, and you can retrieve the original from the platform. Why would you not do that?
Why would you not do that? All right, fam. Y'all say y'all like this thing called justice. Y'all like justice. Y'all like that fair and equal treatment under the law. This is why I invited Sharon Wimbush onto the show to share her thoughts. I spoke that I've been talking to her now for a couple of months, and she's made some interesting points. And I was like, you know what? I think the people, you should tell this to my audience instead of just me. She made some very interesting points. Again, for me, what attracts me to her, what attracted me to her, and even attracted me to this case is the idea of like equal justice. I know we talk about it a lot, but like when we don't like somebody, we don't really care about whether they get equal justice or not. I got a dog in the fight. I got a dog in the fight because I'm a black man, and I know how we get railroaded oftentimes. And I just personally believe he was overcharged. I don't believe that was a RICO act. I don't believe R. Kelly kidnapped anybody. If I don't believe that he kidnapped anybody, why shouldn't I be able to state that opinion and proudly state it unapologetically? I don't believe that R. Kelly kidnapped anybody. I don't believe any of those girls was forced to do anything. R. Kelly was on the road doing shows and stuff, and these women were back at home, going to the post office, going to the grocery store, going to the mall, visiting friends, but then they turn around and say that they were being held captive. Come on, fam, if you can go visit the mall and go check out your homeboy and check on your mama and go to the park, shit, you can pull up at the club, you can pull up at the police station. Yo.
But if he had time when did he have time to write hits? If he was doing all of that nonsense, when did he have time to write for Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston, do the Ronald Isley? If he's babysitting people, their bathroom breaks and their food breaks, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
it doesn't add up.
And the thing is, if he didn't, let's just say some wild reason he actually did do what he's accused of doing, and he didn't have the time, but somebody else had the time to step in for him. Okay, tag, my time. Okay. Where are the co-conspirators? Where are those jail sentences? This is what I'm saying, fam. I believe R. Kelly was railroaded. I know some of y'all gonna be mad at me, but hell, I'll take my chances. I believe, just like I would stand up if I stand on something, if I felt like one of you guys were wronged, I'm gonna stand on it if I feel like R. Kelly was wronged in any kind of way, any kind of capacity. I do believe that the man was railroaded. I think he was railroaded, and I'm speaking on it because if they can railroad R. Kelly, they can railroad Willie D.
And you just said something that brought up a memory for me. Mm-hmm. People were saying he was holding these people and locking them in rooms and doing this type of thing. When I worked for Robert, he has always had meetings in his home. If you've got females in your home, you don't want them listening to what your meetings are about. Many times Robert would say, I would hear him tell his wife, Drea, go to take the baby up to the room, because he would have 5 different meetings going on in his house. If you have females, and he had several girlfriends who if they're moving around the house, they might be stealing things. That was a problem for him. You got to realize he's the king of R&B. People come into his home, they steal. They take things, they take video, they listen to conversations that he's having, they share that information. So would he restrict them while other people were in the house? Yes. But it was so that the people there didn't see who he's got in his house, and so the people in his house didn't overhear sensitive information. If he's talking about an album that's coming out or working with Michael Jackson, other people can't hear that. So would he say, go to the room? Yes, but the room was equivalent to a suite at the Four Seasons. You had a bathroom in each room. You had a refrigerator, or, a small little mini fridge in each room, TV, every comfort you could need. And it wasn't you're there all day, every day. You're there while he's having these meetings. But they took things, they blew it out of proportion, they exaggerated it, they skewed the story so that it would fit the narrative. People met a year before Surviving R. Kelly was filmed. They had picnics together, they went out to dinner, they were basically friends. They shared stories. So by the time they filmed that, everybody's story was similar because they all knew each other. They all had shared each other's stories, and they all had an agenda. They wanted to be social media famous. They wanted relevancy. They wanted money. What they did not want was this to go legally. Nobody had charges against him. Nobody had an open case. Nobody even had a police report. When Surviving R. Kelly aired, they had 0 because nobody went to the police. There was no crime. This was a reality TV show gone wrong. Kim Fox went live and she said, you can Google her press conference from January 8th, 2019. She says, we don't have anything. We need victims. That's because based on a TV show, everybody's riled up. We don't have anything on this man, but if you want us to go get him, victims have to come forward. She opened an 800 number. When in history has that ever been done based on a reality TV show that was disguised as a docuseries?
Let me ask you this. Have you ever, and you spent a lot of time around R. Kelly, you spent a lot of time inside that house. Mm-hmm. Have you ever seen a woman in that house with a black eye?
No.
Any bruises on a hand, arms?
No, absolutely
you ever
not.
seen a woman in chains?
Of course not. No. And here's the other thing. Robert wasn't there half the time.
Have you ever?
Do you realize he tours? He goes on the studio. He doesn't take the females with him.
Have you ever heard a woman screaming
screaming for help? No.
For help. And you never heard any of that?
No.
Have you ever witnessed R. Kelly laying hands on a woman?
No.
Okay. Well, Sharon, thanks for coming on and giving us sharing that information.
And let me give the address to the Department of Justice one more time. Anyone that is concerned about the fair treatment under the law, and once you listen to the informant saying that you saw he flipped witnesses, please write the Department of Justice, specifically Merrick Garland, who is the U.S. Attorney General, Lisa Monaco, who is the U.S. Deputy Attorney General, or Michael Horowitz, who is the Inspector General. All of them are at the Department of Justice, 950 Pennsylvania Avenue Northwest, Washington, D.C., 20530. You're not doing it for R. Kelly, you're doing it so that every person incarcerated or that will ever face a justice situation has equal protection under the law, that their rights are respected and adhered to, and that their commissary, their jail records are not used against them. So please write the Department of Justice. Simply ask that they relaunch the investigation into R. Kelly's jail records, and the informant has confessed 2 flipping witnesses. When are they going to make that transparent?
Thank you, Sharon Winbush, for coming on the show. Thank you all for tuning in. Let's keep the discussion going on in the chat. I'm going to jump in this chat in a moment. But until then, fam, no more talk.
Thank you.